Right. All right. First of all, can you all hear me properly?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. So we are about to start the session that is organized by JMCB Learning. Right. So I hope some of you may be JMCB Learning students and some of you may be new. So we at JMC Virtual Learning Platform, we provide these AAT and chartered accountancy, even advanced level virtual learning facility where you can study from your home whenever and whatever the time you want at a very convenient way. And we have been organizing this seminar series for such a long time now, and I have been there from the beginning. So the objective of the seminar series is to help you out and to make sure that you are going to pass this exam. The last time our students, those who purchase JMCB learning packs in AAT stage 1, they were able to get the accounting prize as well as a merit prize, right? So I hope even you will do the same and those who are going to watch the recording as well, right? Okay, so let's start the session. Before that, let me once again share you the tute if you haven't received the tute yet. Okay. Right. So I have shared the tute to the chat as well. Right. Okay. So we will open up the paper. Right. Right. Okay, Lamai. I hope you all can see the screen here. Right. Okay. We'll start from section A then. Right. Yeah. Okay. So you know that in AAT 1 financial accounting paper, you got 3 sections. Section A consists of short answer questions, 10 MCQs, and then true and false questions 5 and short answer questions 5. Then you have part B, right? In part B, you have 10 marks each questions, right? So part B, basically you have the trial balance question, manufacturing accounts, correction of errors, then accounting equation and bank reconciliation related question. Thereafter, your part C is the sole prop, right? So that is how the paper structure. So let's move on to the questions, Lamai, straight away. Right. What is the main purpose of financial accounting in a firm? To provide information to auditors? No, not only for the auditors, right? To provide information to the government, to charge taxes, not only to the government. To provide information to monitor the compliance of financial statements with accounting standards, right? We do, but that is not the main purpose. Provide information to external stakeholders for them to take various economic decisions. So I think that is the correct answer. Fourth one is the correct answer. Always remember your first question is from purpose of accounting. Huh? Something similar you are going to get. Okay, right. We'll move on to the second question. Kapila Traders has received 100,000 worth of items back from the customers. 100,000 worth of items back from the customers. As there was a defect in the item sold. There was a defect. So that is basically customers are returning stuff. So that's a sales return, or in other words, return inward. Very easy to remember the source document. Huh? They ask in the source document. No? Now, if it is a sales return, now sales is credit, no? So it's credit note. If it is a purchase return, purchase is a debit, no? Debit note. That is the easiest way you can remember. Sales return. Sales is a credit note. Therefore, it's a credit note. Purchase return. Purchase is a debit note. Therefore, it's a debit note. Right? If you take the underlying logic, that's a different story. Sales return, the customer, basically the debtor's value should come down. Debtor is a debit balance. In order to reduce the balance, we have to issue a credit note. Right? That's the logic. But easy way, you can remember credit note. Okay. 1.3. Sunil Traders has settled the trade payables worth of rupees 100,000 after receiving a discount of 5%. Select the correct double entry to record the above transaction. First entry, Sunil Traders debit, cash credit. Cash debit 90, discount allowed 10, trade payables credit 100. Trade payables debit 100, cash credit 95, discount received credit 5,000. Trade payables debit 105, cash credit 100,000, discount received 5,000. Right. Now, try this question and tell me the answer. Give it a try. Right. What is the correct answer? So, Lamai, in this question, Sunil Traders has settled trade payables worth 100,000 after receiving a cash discount of 5%. So, the really speaking, the trade payable balance was 100,000. Trade payables 100,000, and you have received a discount of 5%. So, the one side your trade payables will come down by 100,000 divided to trade payable, and your cash will reduce only by 95 because you are receiving a discount. So the correct answer would be number 3. Right? Okay, the Lama, okay, ne the what about the message done? Okay, the Kela. If you want me to explain in Sinhala, that's also fine. Just drop me a message. Terenavada, English Lima Karandada, Sinhala mix Karandada, whatever you like. Drop me a message. Okay, the Kianvala. Oh, you will have to be. Active ko cut it. Message da chat ke da. Inna ne da cut it. Why the? Lamai. Right? In English, please. Lamai, others, can you drop me a message whether you are okay so far? I hope you are able to drop a message, right? Yeah, you should be. Any kind of anything is fine. Good, 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 good. Right. Lamai, try to keep the chat active as much as possible. Right. Then if you look at the next one, solo traders has obtained a motor vehicle through a lease. Motor vehicle through lease. However, they have not recognized the lease asset in the statement of financial position. What is the main accounting concept that violated due to the above mentioned accounting treatment? Mamai, now, when it comes to a leased asset, you are not the owner. Leasing company is the owner. But even though leasing company is the legal owner, we are recognizing the leased assets in our financials. Because even though we don't have the legal title, economically, we are the ones who enjoy the benefits. We are the ones who take the risk. So, though we are not the legal owner, we are the economic owner. So, that concept is mentioned as substance over form. Economic substance is more important than the legal form. Economic substance is more important than the legal form. Right. Select the special accounting package. Now, in accounting packages, there are two types. No, one is the general accounting packages such as QuickBook, Sage, MyoB, Peachtree. Then you have the specialized accounting packages such as for payroll, such as for inventory management, such as for maybe for data management, like that. So the answer would be payroll system. Right? Okay. Next one. Which of the following information cannot be recorded in financial statements? Cannot be recorded. Information gathered through data analytics software. Information through the data analytics software. Graphic designing skills of an employee. Customer loyalty. Information gathered through data analytics software, you actually cannot recognize. The thing is, there's no proper way to do that. There's no proper accounting standard. Graphic design skill of an employee, that's a human talent, no? Even to measure a human talent, we don't have a mechanism. And there's no way that you can recognize the human capital, human assets. Customer loyalty, you cannot put a value. So the answer would be all of the above. Money measurement concept is dealing with this area. Right, next one. Omega Traders has return inward. Return inward means sales return of 300,000. Please select the correct financial statement element. Now, my return inward means items are returned and coming back to the entity. Return inward is coming back to the entity. Right? So it's a sales return. Sales return. Sales return are the things that we deduct from the sales. So sales return is part of the sales domain. It's connected to sales. Sales is an income, no? Sales return is not an expense, rather a reduction of an income. Therefore, it is also an income category. Sales return is a reduction of income. It's also an income category. Sales return is not an expense, reduction of income. Okay. Right. ළමයි ඒක තේරුණාද sales return කියලා කියනවා බිකුණුම් ආපසු එවුම් කියලා කියනවා නේ sales return, right? That is not an expense, huh? That's part of your income, ළමයි. It's a reduction of income. Okay then. Right. Okay. Look at 1.8, ළමයි. Conventionally, the ledger accounts can be classified as nominal accounts. Those are the income expenses, real accounts, asset liability accounts, and personal accounts. Personal are the debtor ledger and the creditor ledger. What is the correct classification for salary payable? Salary payable is a liability, no, therefore it's a real account. It's a real account. It's a real account. Okay. Right. We look at the 1.9. Select the underlying accounting concept that allows the recognition of prepaid expenses as a current asset. Lamai, you know that debtor creditor, accrued expense, prepaid expense, accrued income, income received in advance. All these 6 items are recognized due to accrual concept. Sorry, not the matching accrual concept. So, right, accrual concept. It's recognized due to accrual concept. Okay, right. Look at the 10th question. Unimo traders have settled 200,000 worth of trade payables subject to a discount of 5%. Select the correct application of to the basic accounting equation. Now you are going to settle 200,000 liabilities. No, definitely your liabilities should come down by 200,000. Right? It's there. But you're settling it that subject to a discount of 5%. That means even though the liability value is 200,000, you are not going to settle everything in cash. Your settlement will be only 95% of it. So it will be 190,000 cash will be settled. Right. So then it should be either 3 or 4. And the discount you are receiving, which is 10,000, it's a benefit. So therefore it's another income. So the correct answer would be number 3. Correct answer would be number 3. Right. Now, පළවෙනි MCQ 10 කරා ඕකේද? ඔයාලා මැසේජ් එකක් දාන්න ඕකේ නං? ඕකේ. අනික් අය දාන්න ළමයි. Right? Good, 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 good. Right. Okay, let's move on to these true or false questions then. Now, true or false questions. Right. Okay. We'll start with the first one. The ethical code applicable to accounting technicians require the accounting technicians to allow biasness, conflict of interest, or undue influence. Ethical code does not allow biasness, or conflict of interest, or undue influence. Therefore, the first statement would be a false statement. First one is a false statement, right? I would put that as a false statement, right? Try to put it here. First one is a false statement. Okay. Right. We'll look at the next one. Assets and liabilities that shall be classified as current and non-current, depending on whether those are realized within 12 months or not. This statement is an example for going concern. Now, assets and liabilities are classified as an current and non-current due to going concern. Because when we classify asset as a current, non-current, liability as non-current, that shows you are going to continue the business. Next one, the debtor and the creditor subledgers are part of the general ledger. No, subledgers are not part of the general ledger. Subledger is different. General ledger is for asset, liability, equity, income, expenses, not for the nominal, not for the personal accounts. But debtor and the creditor subledger personal accounts separate. Advance paid by the customer will lead to increase in asset and increase in income. When a customer has paid us an advance, definitely our assets will increase. That's true. But just because you received an advance, you cannot say that you can recognize an income. Now think, you are running a carpentry business. For you to manufacture a cupboard, you have received 100,000 advance. As soon you receive the advance, cash goes up. There's no doubt. But you cannot actually credit income because you haven't delivered the product yet. Therefore, it's a liability, not an income. Therefore, this statement is false. 15. Errors made by the bank are adjusted in the adjusted cash control when preparing the bank reconciliation. No. Errors made by the banks, you cannot correct. No. Errors by the bank, you can't correct. You can show them in the bank rec, but you can't correct. Okay. So you're done with the, what is it, the MCQs even. Right. The next part of the question is short answers. Let me try to split the screen. Then it'll be a bit easier now. Right. Okay. Look at the first one, 1.1, 1.11. State the objectives of financial accounting. Objectives of financial accounting. Right. Objectives of financial accounting. There are so many objectives, Lamai. We'll take one by one. First one, to provide financial information to stakeholders for them to take economic decisions. That is the main objective. To assist taking logical decisions. Third one, to keep an record on transactions and events. To protect the properties of the business. To be complied with laws and regulations. To understand the financial position of the business. To evaluate the financial performance of the business. To get an idea about the liquidity levels of the business. Like that, there can be many. So I just want you to write two objectives. It can be the main objective to provide financial information to the stakeholders, and accounting is helping guiding the stakeholders to make logical decisions. And because of accounting, you can have a proper record, Lamai, transactions and events. Since these are recorded, you can protect the properties, and there are legal requirements, especially for companies. Like that, you just have to write two. Don't be over smart and try to write, like 4 or 5. Just writing two is enough. I'm writing as much as possible for you to revise the syllabus on. Okay, right. 1.12. List two disadvantages of computerized accounting software. Disadvantages of computerized accounting. Disadvantages of computerized accounting. What are the disadvantages? Now, definitely there's a high investment involved. High investment. That's a definite inadvantage. And complexity is an disadvantage. And need of uh, technically competent employees. Then vulnerability to cyber crimes, data theft, right? Virus attacks. It is it. Then it's very difficult to retaining the retention of employees. and risk of human errors in the accounting system, right? Okay, so like that, I think I have written like couple of disadvantages. Definitely you need to make a high investment when you're moving towards computerized accounting, and it's complex. You need technically competent people, and there's a possibility that there can be computer crimes, data theft, virus attacks, and retaining the employee is much more difficult. And there can be human errors, and there's an impact to the job market. Impact to job market, neither. Now, recently, you'll know that AI is taking place, and like millions of jobs are at a stake, right? Like that, disadvantages are also there, right? Look at 1.13. Briefly explain the difference between cash discount and trade discount. Right. All right. Before I move on to 1.13, okay, the mathematical. Okay. Right. 1.13. Briefly explain the difference between cash discounts and trade discount. Difference between cash discounts and trade discount. Right. Well, right. Trade discounts are given as a promotion, as a sales promotion to increase the sales volume. However, cash discounts are given to collect the credit amount earlier than the credit period. Trade discounts are deducted from the list price. These are not counted. Cash discounts are deducted from the due amount. This is recognized in the financial statements. Right. Okay. So will you be able to send those answers to the chat at the end of the meeting, please? Yeah, we'll be able to. Right. Right. Okay, then Amai, you can answer this question using a table even. That'll be much easier. So trade discount is Lamai, this is used as a sales promotion strategy, advertising strategy, You offer a price reduction from the list price or the mark price. Why? You need to boost the sales. You need to actually promote the sales. These are not recognized. We do not account trade discounts. But the cash discount is offered to your credit customer in order to collect the money early. That is recognized. That we have to recognize. Okay, right. 1.14, they are asking about some source documents. Okay, we look at state the source documents for the following two transactions. First one, document issued by the warehouse to the procurement department and mentioning requesting the items to be purchased. Now, 1.14.1. The document issued by the warehouse asking the procurement department to uh, purchase the items are the purchase requisition note. Purchase requisition note. Right? Purchase requisition note. Document issued by the warehouse when items receiving from the supplier. At the point of receiving, Lamai, the warehouse need to issue the goods received note or the GRN. These are the two source documents: purchase requisition note and the goods received note. Okay. Right. 1.15. So this should be 1.20. My numbers are messed up a little bit. That's okay. This should be 1.16, 1.17, 1.18, 1.19, 1.20. That's never mind. Briefly explain the term integrity. Never mind. Integrity simply means the accounting technicians, that means you, accounting technicians needs to be straightforward and honest in their business and professional relationships. So we need to maintain, we have to be straightforward and honest. We have to be straightforward and honest in our business and professional relationships. We have to be straightforward and honest. Okay. Right. Integrity means being honest. You have to be very straightforward and honest in your business and professional relationships. So will you send the answer sheet? Yeah. You all have to wait until the end. I'll let you know what is the mechanism to get the answers. Right. So as much as possible, try to have your answers, have the screenshots, this and that. Right. But towards the end, I'll tell you how to get the answer. Okay. So you're done with part A. You have completed part A. So we can move on to part B. Right. Okay, the part A, now we have scored 40 marks. It got only 30 minutes. Now 40 marks done. Okay, am I okay within the part A? Okay, reply done. Okay. Right. So we are trying to move towards section B. Right. Okay. So let's look at this question, Lama. Prepare the trial balance. So we are supposed to prepare the trial balance. We'll see. Rajendra started a sole prop on 1st of April 2022 by investing rupees 750. Here, 750 in the cash receipts. Summary of receipt and the payment journal is given to you after 1 year. Capital 750, receipt from the trade debtors, cash sales, Payment to creditor, salaries, electricity, furniture, water bill, petty cash, drawings, 100,000. Following additional information. Receivable and the payable balances as at 31st of March. Debtor 78, creditor 125, accrued electricity 12.5, prepaid water bills 10,000. Okay. Petty cash transactions were as follows. This is the receipt from the cash control account, traveling, welfare, stationery, and the balance. Right. Finally, all purchases were made on credit basis. There were no stocks. Furniture were acquired on 1st of October 2022 for 75. And those are depreciated 20% per annum. Right? These are the information. Right, we'll start. This is question number 2. This is Rajendra Traders trial balance for the year ended 31st March 23. Figure sign rupees. When you can do it in thousands, let us do it in thousands. Right, this is the trial balance. Debit and the credit. Right. For me to have the workings, let me take the workings here. Right. Okay. Right. So we have the trial balance as well as the workings we have prepared. Okay. Right. We'll start with the first one. First, they are saying Rajendra started the business by investing 715 cash. What is the double entry? Cash debit and capital credit. So cash, there are so many other transactions. So I'm not going to put any figure here, but capital we can credit. Capital credit 750. First transaction done. Right? This one done. Next one, receipt from the debtor. So I need to open up the debtor's account. Debtors. So we need to open up basically 3T accounts: debtor, creditor, accrued electricity, prepaid water bill. So 4T accounts: debtor, creditor, creditors, accrued electricity, and prepaid water bill. How do we know that how many T accounts to be open? It's basically number of items in this adjustment, receivable payable balances. For those you need to prepare CCS. Right. Then what they are saying, receive from the debtor 1.2 million. When you receive, debited to cash, credited to debtor. So let me put that as cash 1,200. Okay. Debited to cash, credited to sales. Then cash sales, debited to cash, credited to sales. Since there are, what do you say, the credit sales are also there, I'm not going to put the figure here. in the trial balance items. Next one, payment to creditor. When you are making a payment to the creditor, creditor will be get debited. Cash 1575. Credited to debtor. Creditor's account will get, creditor's account will get debited. Cash will get credited. 1575. Salaries, there's no accrued or prepayment. Debited to salary. So the salaries and wages will be debited. 225. Credited to cash. Credited to cash. Debited to salary, credited to cash. Electricity, we got an accrued electricity account, right? Accrued electricity, credited to cash, debited to accrued electricity. 89. Cash. Now you need to understand something. If there's an accrual or a prepaid adjustment, all the cash payments or whatever the cash related adjustment need to route it through. You need to adjust it through the accrued or the prepaid account. That you have to remember. In the absence of any accrued or a prepayment, what would be the double entry for electricity? Debited to electricity, credited to cash. But in case of an accrued entry, credited to cash, but you need to debit that to the accrued electricity. Okay. Accrued accrual එකක් හරි prepayment එකක් තියෙනවා නම් සල්ලි මොන හරි වියදමකට ගෙවුවොත් ඒක accrued හරි prepaid account එකට දාන්න. That's the easiest way. Right. Purchase of furniture. So credited to cash, debited to furniture. 75. Water bill, there's a prepayment, credited to cash, debited to water bill. 23. Petty cash account is already here. So that is been accounted. Credited to cash, debited to petty cash. Drawings, credited to cash, debited to drawings. 100. Right. Now I think you can actually calculate the cash balance. There was a 2575 debit and 2112 credit. Cash balance is 463. Okay. So you're done with the cash balances. Right. Then how are we going to record this closing debtor and the creditor? Look, it's very easy. Let me tell you. Closing debtor is a debit balance now here. Basically your closing debtor in the trial balance is a debit balance. Trade debtor 78 at the 78, and this balance shall be credited to the debtor T account. Closing balance 78. Debited because it's an asset, credited to the relevant T account because that's your closing balance. Debited to debtor, credited to debtor, closing balance account. Trade creditor. Credited 125. Here debited, closing balance 120. Your closing balance debited here, credited to your trial balance. Accrued electricity is a liability. Accrued electricity. So it's a credit balance, 12.5. And here credited, debited to here the closing balance. Okay. Prepaid water bill is an asset. 10 credited here as a closing balance. Right. So what we have done is, Lamai, we have been given the receivable, payable, closing balances. We put them into the correct place in the trial balance and the closing balances to your relevant T accounts that you have done. Right. Next one. Petty cash you received 25. No, this is how they have spent. Those are expenses. Ne? Credited to petty cash, debited to traveling. 10.8. Credited to petty cash, debited to welfare. 3.5. Credited to petty cash, debited to stationery. 2.7. And your petty cash balance, that's also an asset, no? So here 2.7. Huh? Right. So we have recognized the expense debited to traveling, debited to welfare, debited to stationery, and the closing petty cash balance is an asset. That is also completed. Okay. Finally, all purchases are made on credit. Furniture depreciation, that we have to do something. Furniture depreciation, that is 75 into 20% into how many months? Only 6 months. 75 into 20% into 6 months. 7.5. Credited to accumulated furniture depreciation. 7.1. Okay. Right. Now we have completed, almost completed. Let's close the T accounts. Right. I will start closing the T accounts. Right. So your water bill expense is 23 minus 10, 30. So your water bill is 13 rupees, which is an expense. Yeah, prepaid water bill credit, debited to water bill expense, debited to water bill expense. Electricity expense is going to be 102. Electricity 102. Purchase is going to be 1,700. Sales is going to be 1,278. Right? Okay. So you put all the items. So here the total comes to 2173. So, cameraman. Yes, second. Sorry. My bad. Sales figure. I have to take the cash sales as well. Sorry. 625 plus 1278. Huh? Sorry. Now it should be okay. 6, 5, Give me a second. Yeah. Sorry. Lamai. Here I found the small error in the paper. Right, my bad. There may. Here lamai, if you take the balance, this balance should be 8,000. That's my typo එකක්. Please correct that in the paper. It's not 3,000. මේක ළමයි නැත්තම් balance වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේ ටික එකතු කරපුවාම එන්නේ 10.8 plus 3.5 plus 2.7 and 25 minus answer, it should be 8,000. Please correct that. It's not 3,000. It should be 8,000. Typo එකක්. Right. So the balance sheet gets tallied at 2798. Balance sheet gets tallied at 2798. Huh? Right. Okay. මෙතන පොඩ්ඩක් correct කරගන්න. Typing mistake එකක් තියෙනවා ළමයි. It should be 8,000, not 3,000. Right? It's correct. Right. So the balance sheet gets tallied at 2798. Okay, බලන්න. Okay, are you all okay with the trial balance question? There was a small correction to the paper. Typo. Right? Okay, this is the answer with the workings. Right. Alright. අනික අයත් කියන්නේ ඕකේද කියලා. Question number 2. Message එකක් දාන්න ඕකේද? Trial balance, definitely you are going to get a question. If you follow the easiest way, that is to follow the double entries, then you can easily get the answer. මට හැම වෙලේම messages දාන අය දෙන්නයි ඉන්නේ. මේ අනික් අය මොකද තත්ත්වේ? ආතිෆ්, අබ්දුල්, අරුණ, චනිතු, ෆාතිමා, කනිෂ්කා, ඔමින්දි, right, උස්මාන්. නම් කියව ගමන් මිස් වෙනවා කට්ටිය. Okay. Right. So we'll try to move on to the next question. බලමු ළමයි ඊළඟ ප්‍රශ්නය. Right. Next one is you are supposed to show the impact of 5 transactions in the accounting equation. Right. We are going to do the question number 3. Question number 3, part A. I will look at the question, part A. Show the impact of above 5 transactions to the accounting equation. Hasali started Hasho traders on 1st of April. Following transactions took place in the month of April. Right. So you need to show them in this table. Ne? So index, machines, inventory, data, cash, equity, trade payables. This is basically the table. Right. There are 5 transactions. Ne? Okay, we'll start by looking at one by one. Hasho invested 500,000 in cash. Hasho invested 500,000 in cash and rupees 1 million worth of machines as initial capital. So shall we record 500 in cash and 1 million in machines. So I'm going to do the question in rupees thousands. Huh? And thus your equity is 1,000. Machines 1,000, cash 500, equity 1,000. Next one. Asho traders purchased 800 worth of inventory items from Mota on credit. Second one, Hasho purchased 800 worth of items on credit. Easy. Purchasing inventory goes up, creditor goes up. Inventory goes up, creditor goes up. Hasho traders sold 300 cost of items for rupees 500,000 to Ashini on credit. So 300 worth of items sold for rupees 500 to Ashini on credit. So you are recognizing a profit of 200. Inventory comes down 300, your data goes up 500, you are recognizing a profit of 200. The electricity bill for the month of April was 20 and it was paid by Hasali on 15 and it was considered as an additional capital. Then how are we going to record that? Hasali has paid, therefore it's an additional capital. Right? Therefore it's an additional capital. At the same time, this is an electricity expense now. So the profit comes down by 20. This is how you should record. So one side your capital goes up, it's an additional capital. Capital goes up and it's an expense, so profit comes down. Data Ashini settled 400 on 26th, subject to a cash discount of 10%. So the data Ashini comes down by 400, but you are receiving cash only 90%. So your loss is 40 rupees. Discount received, discount allowed 40. So data Ashini is going to settle 400 subject to a cash discount. So data comes down 400, but you are receiving cash only 360. So the equity comes down by 40, the discount allowed, which is an expense. Are we clear? Question number 3. We're done part A now. Okay, Dalamai? Right. Okay. Then we look at the next one, Lamai. Question number 3, part B. Where are the so, Right, look at part B. Under part B, lamai, you are supposed to prepare the adjusted cash control account and the bank rec. We'll read from the beginning. So don't we include the expenses in cash? No. In the earlier question, lamai, this amount 20 was not paid by the business, nor paid by Hasali, the owner, not by the business. So business cash won't change. I hope you got the point. Right? Okay. Bank balance as per the bank statement of Manuk and Company did not agree with the favorable cash control account balance of 200,000. Bank statement 270. Following reasons were identified later. There's a standing order to pay the monthly loan installment of 50. This has been omitted. A direct deposit of 65 was made by a debtor, not recognized. A check of rupees 100,000 was given to the supplier Minoli on 28 March. However, this was presented to the bank on 2nd of April. A check of rupees 80 deposited in the bank account on 30th March remained unrealized. The checkbook charges and other bank charges 5 not recorded. Bank has erroneously credited 40 to the current account. Right. So these are the things that we need to go through. So let us prepare the one thing is to prepare the adjusted cash control account and the bank rec. Right here, it starts with the balance as per adjusted cash control account plus minus balance as per bank statement. Okay, so these are the formats. I think we can be able to start, neither. Okay, right. Am I at the starting point? What they say is your cash balance is 200,000. So opening balance is 200. Let me do the question in thousands. Opening balance is 200. Then we'll take one by one transaction. Manuka and the company has given a standing order for a loan installment. Because of this loan installment, lamai, your cash balance should come down. No, in the cash book, you have to credit that balance. So it's a loan 50. Because of the loan payment, cash balance should come down. There's a direct deposit. When you're receiving a direct deposit, your cash balance should move up. And that we have to adjust from a debtor 65. Next one. Right, it's very easy, not difficult. A check of rupees 100 given to the supplier Minoli was not presented. This is checks issued but unpresented. Now, we know that in the bank rec, we adjust the omissions and the errors by the accountant. But the timing difference, such as unrealized checks, unpresented checks, are adjusted in the bank rec. Errors by the bank is also reflected in the bank rec. Now look here. A check was given to a supplier. Now, what has happened in the, if you take this is the cash control account and the bank statement, cash, bank, cash book, bank statement. We'll take the first, the balances are equal. You have given a check to a supplier. So the cash book balance is lower now because you have given a check. So the cash book balance is been credited. But it has not come to the bank yet. So the bank balance is still high. It has not presented to the bank yet. From a lower balance, you are trying to reach a higher balance. Then you need to add. So we are going to add the unpresented check. Once again, cash book statement, payment check given, cash book balance is lower, but it has not come to the bank yet. So from a lower balance, you are reaching a higher balance. So you need to add. Both one. A check of 80 deposited but unrealized. It has not realized to the bank yet. You know that clearing process takes time now. So now what? It is also going to the rec. Cash book statement. Cash book statement. Check deposited. So the cash book balance goes up. Check deposited. But it has not come to the bank yet. Statement balance is low. From a higher balance, you are trying to reach a lower balance. Then you need to deduct. Can you please explain this three? Right. Okay. I'll explain both of them. Unrealized check. Right. The first one, unpresented check. Now here in the bank reconciliation process, you are dealing with two different parties. No, cash book maintained by the accountant, bank statement maintained by the bank. For the same current account, two people are maintaining account. Cash book by the accountant, bank statement by the bank. Now in the third one, accountant has given a check. So accountant is recording that now. So the cash book balance accountant has reduced now. But it has not come to the bank yet. So the bank statement has not reduced yet. So the statement balance is high. As at 31st of March, it has not reduced, received. It was received on 2nd of April. We are looking at 31st of March now. By 31st of March, it was not received. So by 31st of March, statement balance is high. From the cash book to reach the statement, we need to add 100. Yeah, in the reconciliation, you are going from the cash book to the statement, cash book to statement. Okay, are we clear? At the same time, unrealized check. Now what is happening? The accountant received a check. He deposited. So in his cash book, his balance is high now. But it has not come to the bank yet. So the statement balance is low. Now in the rec, from where to where you are going? From the cash book to the statement. From the cash book to the statement. Then you need to deduct. Right. Next one, checkbook charges or the bank charges. Because of the bank charge, cash book balance should come down. Fine. Last one, bank has erroneously credited 40. That's a bank error. Bank errors cannot be corrected by the accountant. You can't correct it by the accountant, but you can show that in the rec. Once again, we'll take cash book and the bank statement. Bank has erroneously credited. For the bank, it's a liability, no. Current account is a liability to the bank. Bank credited means bank has increased the balance erroneously. But now accountant has not done that error. Now the bank statement balance is high because of the error. We are not trying to correct the error, we are trying to show the error. From the cash book to go to the statement, I need to add error by the bank. Bank error code, right? Now I can close the cash book and get the closing balance, which is 200 plus 65 minus 50 minus 5. 210. That is the adjusted cash book balance. 140. So your bank statement balance should be 270. Okay. Lama. Okay, we have completed 3 questions. Are you all okay? Okay, oh, Lama. Right. Question number 4. We'll move on to question number 4. Okay, right. Now my question number 4 is from manufacturing accounts. Prepare the manufacturing cost statement of Udara Publications. Let's see. Udara Publications is engaged in book printing following were extracted. Raw material, purchase, work in progress, carriage inward, direct wages, maintenance, security, electricity, rent, plant, and like that, this and that are there. Following additional information is also provided. Closing inventory, raw material, work in progress at prime cost. Security 70, electricity 80, rent 80. Plant and machinery are used to manufacture the books. While motor lorry is used by the business to deliver manufactured books to customers. Manufactured books to customers is not part of the manufacturing, that's a distribution. So for us, it's only plant and machinery. For the manufacturing account, only plant and machinery. Motor lorry is taken to distribute. That's a distribution cost. Machine minder is given a production incentive of 50 per book. During the year, 100,000 books were printed. Manufactured items are transferred to trading division with a profit of 20% on cost. Right. Okay. So then we need to draft the manufacturing account. Udara Publications, manufacturing account for the year ended 31st of March 25, rupees in thousands. Question is in rupees, can do it in thousands, it seems. Okay. It starts with the raw materials. Opening raw material stock. Raw material purchase. Carriage inward. Closing raw material stock. Raw material consumption. direct labor, wages, production incentive, and you will arrive at the prime cost. Then plus opening work in progress minus closing work in progress. Then you will arrive at the prime cost of completed items. Then manufacturing overheads. Some space. Then you will arrive at total production cost. Then the factory profit. And finally, you will arrive at the transfer price to trading division. Okay. Right. Right. So this is basically the format. So the workings if required. Okay. Lama, are you all okay with the formats and other things? Just drop me a message. Manufacturing account, you are going to get 10 marks in the exam. Very easy. One of the easiest. You need to remember the format. Purpose of the manufacturing account is to calculate the cost of manufacturing cost of completed items. That's the objective. So the manufacturing cost include the material cost, labor cost, and overheads. Okay, right. Okay, then am I right. අනික අයත් ඕකේ නේද මට කෙනෙක් දෙන්නෙක් ඕකේ කියලා මැසේජ් එකක් දාලා තියෙනවා අනික අයත් මට කියන්න so that I can start doing the question. Okay, right. We'll start. Raw material closing stock that we need to deduct. Raw material closing stock. We are going to deduct 300. Right. So you know the double entry closing. Sir, can you make the format big? Something like this, maybe. Right. Take a screenshot. Done. Is it okay now? Okay. Right. Okay, Lamai. Now, what is the double entry for the closing raw material stock? That's an inventory note. So debited to asset, credited to manufacturer account. Why are we deducting? Come on. Your closing raw materials are not used for the production yet. That is not part of your manufactured items. So then you have to remove. Work in progress. So the closing work in progress, once again, we need to deduct. Why are we deducting that? Because it's not completed yet. Manufacturing account is calculated the cost of completed items. Cost of completed items. Work in progress will be completed in the next year. Closing work in progress. The following expenses should be allocated. Security, it will be 70%. Okay. And electricity, it will be 80%. And rent will be 80%. Okay. We just have to take the factory component. Huh? I will take electricity 900. Rent 1000. Security 600. So I'm going to take that 600 into 70%, 900 into 80%, 1000 into 80%. It's very easy. You just have to take your component, your share. Balance part goes to your admin expenses in the P&L. Right? Okay. Then they're saying plant and machinery are used to manufacture the books, but lorry is for deliver the items to the customer. So you just have to take the plant and machinery depreciation. Plant and machinery depreciation. That I'll show the calculation here itself. So you can see the plant and machinery cost is 2 million. I'll just take the 2000 here. That needs to be multiplied by what the percentage? 20%. Right? So very easily 2000 into 20%. Okay. Not a difficult thing. Plant and machinery depreciation 2000 into 20%. Aren't you going to take the motor lorry? No. Why? Because that was not used in the manufacturing process. Next one. Machine minders are given a production incentive. That is part of your labor cost, right? That is also your direct labor given to the machine minder who are the main labor as a production incentive. It's very easy. So 50 into 100 books. That is going to be 5,000. Okay. Manufactured items are transferred to trading division with a profit of 20% on cost. So factory profit is at 20%. Okay. So whatever the answer you're going to get here, multiplied by 20%. Right. I just put that as 20%. Finally, I can get the answer. Okay, we are done with it. Ne? Very easy, very easy. This manufacturer comes up too easy. Right. Shall we put the figures from the TB then? Opening raw material stock 500. Raw material purchase 6,000. Opening work in progress 230. Carriage inward 100. Direct wages to employees 2005. Machine maintenance 60. Security electricity rent done. Plant and machinery and motor lorry we have already considered. Okay. Done. Now you can calculate the raw material consumption. Then the direct labor cost. Together you can calculate the prime cost. Then the impact on work in progress. So the prime cost of completed items. 13,600. Total production cost. 16,000. Thus your transfer price is 19,002. Okay. This is the final answer. Right. Right. Am I okay? Okay. Right. අනික කොහොමද තත්ත්වේ? අනික කොහොමද ළමයි? We have completed the manufacturing account. Okay. Right. ළමයි. Now it's 8:30. So we are supposed to do two other questions. Right. One is correction of errors and the sole proprietor financials. Considering the time being, I think we will be able to do only one questions it seems, because 9 is our time now. So what should we do now? Is it the solve prop or the what we say, the correction of errors? Your call. කියන්න බලන්න මොකක්ද ඔයාලට අවශ්‍යතාවය තියෙන්නේ? Correction of errors the එහෙමත් නැත්නම් solve prop the correction of errors or solve prop. Drop me a message quickly. I got one answer, one response. Others, lamai. Q6. Okay, lamai. So what we will do is, shall we do the solve prop? Because that gives you 20 marks. Ne? We'll do the solve prop, right? And let me try to share the answer for the what you say, the correction of errors. Correction of errors के answer को share करना अभी solve prop पे करो. Okay, the oh, వాళ్ళకి response එක තමයි ඕනේ. එතකොට අපිට ගන්නට වෙලාවට ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. Should be able to. Okay, right. Okay. So we are coming to our last question, Lamai, right? Question number 6. Look at. You are required to prepare the statement of comprehensive income and statement of financial position. We'll start from the beginning. Code loom is a sole prop owned by Henuka. Trial balance is given to you. You got land and building, machines, motor vehicles, accumulated depreciation, sales, inventory, purchases, trade receivable impairment provision. There is your doubtful debt, trade payable, cash at bank, cash in hand, bank loan, salaries, and insurance, security, electricity, sales commission, office rent, capital, this and that. Okay. Closing inventory 9,007. Electricity for the month of March 78 was not recorded. This was paid on 3rd of April. 1st of January, bank loan of 8 million has been obtained, right? Yeah. From Metro Bank to expand the business at an annual interest rate of 12%. Bank has given a grace period. Grace period means, Lamai, you can, after taking the loan for a certain period, you can actually, you can stay without paying the capital repayment. That's kind of a benefit, but you need to pay the interest. Huh? Interest has not been accrued. Policy of the business to provide depreciation, building 10, machines 20, motor vehicle 25. Business entered into a new rent agreement on 1st April 2024. As per the new rent agreement, rent deposit was 500. This will be receivable at the end of the rent of 5 years. Monthly rental is 300. The rent deposit paid and the rent paid for the year is recorded under office rent pay. Everything is under the office rent pay. Code Loan decided to write off long outstanding debtor 200 as a bad debt and to make a debtor impairment doubtful debt provision of 10% from the remaining trade debtor. Okay, those are the requirements. We'll start. This is question number 6. Code Loan statement of comprehensive income. For the year ended 31st March 25. Rupees in, you should be able to do the question in thousands. Sales, aligned with the cost of sales. You have the opening inventory. You got the purchases. You got the closing inventory. Then you will arrive at the gross profit, other income, distribution expenses, administration expenses, finance expenses, other expenses, profit for the year. Okay. Okay, this is your statement of profit or loss. Statement of financial position. As at 31st March 2025. Just erase this stuff. Starting with non-current assets. Non-current assets, cost, accumulated depreciation, and the net book value. Right? Under that, we got the land, we have the buildings, we have the machines, we have the motor vehicles, even we will have a rent deposit. Then we got the current assets, inventory, trade receivables, and minus receivable impairment, prepayments, then cash in bank, cash in bank, and cash in hand, total assets, equity, capital, profit, minus borrowings, non-current liabilities, bank loan, current liabilities, payables, accrued expenses. Right. Now I have put the two formats, financial position and the statement of comprehensive income. Okay. Right. Formats දෙක ඕකේද බලන්න ඕන. ඔයාලත් ළමයි පුළුවන් නම් අර ආන්සර් ෂීට් එකේදී ඉඩ මැනේජ් කරලා P&L එකයි ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් පොසිෂන් එකයි එක කොලේ දාගන්න පුළුවන් නම් ලීසි ඉතින් හදන්න. It's up to you. මේ මං හදනවා වගේ P&L එකම P&L එක මේ සයිඩ් මෙතන චුට්ටක් ගහෙන් එහෙම ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් පොසිෂන් එකට ටක් ටක් ගාලා එන්ට්‍රීස් එහෙම දාන්න උනත් ලීසි. ඩිපෙන්ඩ් අත්අකුරු වල තත්ත්වය අය මේව මත ඩිපෙන්ඩ් වෙනවා. But it would be easier. අත් ඒවා ලෝකේ කරන්න කොහොමද තත්ත්වය කියලා. Okay, so one student has said okay, others just let me know. Okay, right. We'll start with the additional information now. First one, they are saying closing inventory is 9,700. Then what will happen? Inventory is an asset now. So we need to recognize the asset, right? Inventory is an asset. We need to recognize. So debited to inventory, credited to cost of sales. Very easy. Debited to inventory, credited to cost of sales. Debited to inventory, credited to cost of sales. Okay. Inventory debit, credited to cost of sales. Very easy. Electricity bill for the month of March 78 has not recorded. That's an admin expense now. Electricity added to electricity expense. Okay. Electricity expense we have to add. Right? So you can't put the final figure. There can be electricity in the here. There's another figure. So we'll keep the adjustment part. Electricity plus 78 and go to the accrued expenses plus 78. Debited to electricity expense, credited to accrued electricity. Debited to electricity expense, credited to accrued electricity. Debited to electricity expense, credited to accrued electricity. Even though you haven't paid, you have consumed now. Therefore, it's an expense now. You haven't paid me, it's a commitment, it's a liability. Very easy. Right? Next one. You have obtained a bank loan, 8,000. Right? And you are supposed to pay it after a grace period. Bank loan, 8,000. Right? That is there in the trial balance as well. Right? Bank loan 8,000. You are going to pay it after a grace period. You have obtained on 1st of Jan. They haven't accrued the interest. They haven't accrued the interest. For that, let us do a working. Working number 1, accrued interest. The loan balance is 8,000. Interest rate 12%. Period 3 months. Then how much is the interest expense? 8,000 into 12% into 3 divided by 12, 240. 240. 240. Right? 240. Okay, 240 is the answer. 240, what is the double entry? It's a finance expense, debited to interest expense. Interest expense, we have to add plus 240, interest expense. Credited to interest payable. Was payable, we need to add plus 240. Okay. Debited to interest expense, credited to interest payable. Debited to interest expense, credited to interest payable. That is your interest expense. You haven't paid it yet. Debited to interest expense, credited to interest payable. Okay. Right. Look at the next adjustment. All right. Up to that point, are we clear? The way that I'm doing, is it okay for you all? Okay. Right. Next one, depreciation. For that, I have to do a working. right? So that will be working number 2, depreciation. There are 3 items now. One is the building, next one is the machine and motor vehicle. These are the 3 items. We'll take the cost of each item. Okay, sir, but interest expense here. Interest expense is under finance expenses. Someone is asking where is interest expense here? That is under finance expenses. Okay, and credited because it has not been paid yet. Right. Shall we put the cost? Cost of land is 5 million. Then the cost of building is here 6,000. Machines 9,000. Motor vehicle 5,000. Right. Apply the depreciation rate 10%, 20%, 25%. Right. Then we can calculate the depreciation very easily. For the entire year, you have to calculate 600. Right. Okay. At the same time, someone is asking, working is not clear for me. Is it accrued interest? Right. You obtained a loan on 1st of Jan. Yeah, you are not supposed to pay the loan installment for an entire year. That you can understand. There's a grace period, no? But for 3 months, you need to accrue the interest. You need to recognize the interest. So 8,000 at 12% for 3 months, 240. So it's an interest expense, even though you haven't paid, but it's a liability. You have to pay. So on the other side, it's a liability. Debited to interest expense, credited to interest liability. Here another, so one student is asking that he couldn't understand the accrued interest. వాళ్ళు ඕනෑ කරන් තියනවා ඒකේ මාස 3ක ඉන්ට්‍රස්ට් එකක් ගෙවලා නැහැ accrue කරලා නැහැ right okay නේ right depreciation okay නේද building 6,000 you just have to apply the rates and calculate 600 1,008 1,250 right it's very easy and අපි depreciation දාගමු ළමයි building machines motor vehicles building depreciation machine depreciation and motor vehicle depreciation right building depreciation is 600, machine depreciation is 1,008, motor vehicle depreciation is 1,250. So I have debited the depreciation expense. Debited to building depreciation, debited to machine, debited to motor vehicle. Okay, you have debited the depreciation. Right? And I have to credit the depreciation to the accumulated depreciation. This is not the final answer, but I have to add that. Plus 600 plus 1,008 plus 1,250. Now, we have to add the opening accumulated depreciation. Huh? This is not the final figure, this is the current year depreciation. So debited to depreciation expense, credited to accumulated depreciation. Debited to depreciation expense, credited to accumulated depreciation. Okay, the depreciation method the depreciation කියන්නේ වියදමක් අනිත් පැත්තෙන් ඒක වාගේ property value එකේ අඩුවීම accumulated depreciation එකට credit කරනවා. Okay? It's very easy. Right? Okay, look at the 5th adjustment. We are done with depreciation. Business entered into a new rent agreement on 1st of April. As per the agreement, rent deposit 500 was paid. This will be receivable at the end of the 5 years. Monthly rent is 300. Rent deposit and the rent paid is recognized under office rent. Right. Now, rent deposit you cannot put it under office rent. Neither. So, the rent deposit is in office rent inside the office rent. මෙතන තියෙනවා නේද මේ office rent කියලා මේ 3500. ඕකාස තියෙනවා deposit එක. You can't keep it there no. So we have to remove. එතනින් අයින් කරමු 500. And we will add that as a rent deposit here. Fine. And මේ adjustment එක. Yeah. Rent deposit is an asset no. ඔයා ගෙවපු deposit එක වාට rent agreement එක කරලා ගන්න පුළුවන් නේ. You can obtain the rent deposit after the rent agreement no. So therefore it's an asset. It's a long-term asset. So I'm going to recognize here, but we have to remove that from the expense. So we have the expense වලට දාන්න බෑ. Debited to office rent deposit, credited to rent expense. Okay. තේරුණාද rent deposit එක deposit එකක් දෙන්න අපි rent එකක් ගන්නකොට ඒක අපිට අවුරුදු 5ක් අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන්. Are we clear with the rent deposit? Can you explain it again? One more time, explain that. Now, when you are entering into a rent agreement, the landlord or the building owner is asking you to make a deposit. Right? Now, in this example, they have asked you to ask the business to pay a rent deposit of 500 and the business has paid. It is a deposit. That means after the rent period, the building owner is supposed to pay it back to the business. So from a business point of view, today we are paying 500. After 5 years, I'm getting that. So it's an asset. What these people have done, then recognizing the deposit, rent deposit, the refundable rent deposit as an asset, they have treated as an expense. They have put it under the rent paid. That's wrong. So we removed that from the rent paid. You can see -5 and recognize that as a rent deposit, which is an asset. තේරුණාද? ඔයා අද 500ක් ගෙවුවා අවුරුදු 5කට පස්සේ ඒක දෙන්න ඕනේ බිල්ඩින් ඕන. එහෙනම් ඒක ඇසෙට් එකක් නේ. ඒක එක්ස්පෙන්ස් එකක් නෙවෙයිනේ. එහෙනම් එක්ස්පෙන්ස් එකෙන් අයින් කරලා ඇසෙට් එකට දාන්න. Okay, right? Okay. Right. Now we need to look at the rent payment plan. How are the so we'll do the working for that. Yeah. Working number 3, rent payment. We'll see. Rent expense. Now, monthly rent is 300 no. Number of months 12. So the total rent expense should have been 3,600. This should be the rent. Okay. How much is the rent paid? Now we had 3,005 and we removed 500 no. So rent paid is only 3,000. Then the rent accrued rent or the rent payable. In other words, rent payable. How much? So rent payable is 600. Are you clear? Monthly rent is 300. For 12 months, it should be 3,600. If you take the rent paid, that included in a deposit, no, we have to remove the deposit, no. So then the real rent paid is only 3,000. Last 2 months rent you haven't paid. So the accrued rent is 600. Okay, Is there another? Right. Shall we record the rent payable? Ah, we'll record the rent payable. No, sir. Why is that? Lama, your monthly rent is 300. How many months you entered the agreement on 1st of April? Now we are preparing the financial for 31st of March. So for 12 months. So 300 into 12, your total rent should be 3,600. How much is the rent paid? In the trial balance, it says 3,005. That was including the deposit. No. When you remove the deposit, the rent paid is only 3,000. So out of the total rent expense, you have paid only 3,000. So the payable is 600. Okay. Right. So shall we record the office rent expense? So I'm going to add this is minus 500 plus 600. Here, this 600 I have to add. Okay. Then I need to recognize the accrued rent. So this 78, I'm going to add 600. Okay. Debited to rent expense, debited to rent expense, credited to rent payable, credited to accrued expense. Rent expense goes up, accrued expense goes up. Are we clear with the adjustment here? Debited to rent expense, credited to rent payable, credited to rent, accrued rent expense. Am I okay up to this point? Right. Final adjustment. Code law may have decided to write off 200 as a bad debt. It's very easy adjustment. No? Bad debt is an expense. Bad debt 200. So the bad debt expense goes up. And from the debtor, we need to remove 200. Debited to bad debt expense, credited to debtor. Debited to bad debt expense, credited to debtor. Okay, are we clear with the bad debt? Bad debt means you are not going to recover the debtor amount. Debtor has gone bankrupt, so you cannot recover, so you need to take the loss. One side your debtor asset comes down, your bad debt expense goes up. Okay. Okay, Lamai. Bad debt done. Okay, the right. So finally, let us do the doubtful debt provision or the debtor impairment provision. Debtor impairment provision. Right. Lamai, now let's take the debtor balance first. Now, if you look at the debtor balance, trade receivable, it was 7,700. No? Of that 7,700, we have already written off 200. So it will be 7,500 minus 200. So 7,700 minus some. So the debtor balance remaining is 7,500. Of that, we are supposed to make a provision of 10%. So the debtor impairment provision 10%. So how much is the closing doubtful debt provision or the debtor impairment provision? 750, 7,500 into 10%, 750. Okay. Your closing doubtful debt provision is 750. How much is the carrying value of doubtful debt provision? Debtor impairment provision. So, how much is the carrying value? Your existing provision is 300. That means you already have 300 limit. Now, your debtor balance is 7,700, of which 200 we have written off. So the remaining balance is only 7,500. And of that, we have impairment. We have a doubt that 10% we are not going to recover. We have a doubt. So as per the prudence concept, even though there's a debtor balance of 7,005, if we hope that 10% we are not going to recover, we need to recognize that loss. So that is 750. But at the same time, already we have 300 rupee balance. So we need 750. We have 300. Therefore, the under provision is 450. Okay. So what we need to do is now we need to recognize a provision of 450. We need to recognize, we need to pass a double entry for this 450. Already we got 300, we need to make it 750, then pass a provision for 450. තේරුණාද working එක data impairment? Okay. Shall we recognize the expense then under the distribution expenses? Data impairment or the doubtful debt 450. And we need to adjust the provision here. It will be increased by 450. So one side my expense goes up, on the other side my provision increases by 400 and debited to doubtful debt expense, credited to doubtful debt provision. Debited to doubtful debt expense, credited to doubtful debt provision. Right. Okay, the ළමයි එක තේරුණාද? Are we clear up to this point? Okay. Right. So we are done with it. Now we need to take the items in the trial balance. Right. We'll take. Right. Super. Land value is 5,000. Land 5,000. Building 6,000. If you want, you can put it together. There's no issue. I just separate it for my convenience. Machine 9,000, motor vehicle 5,000. Accumulated depreciation, building 3,000, machines 4,500, and motor vehicle 2,500. Right. Sales 92,000. Opening inventory 8,500. Purchases 63,000. Trade receivables 7,700 minus 200 is 7,005. Trade receivable provision 300 plus 450 is 750. Minus 750 here. Okay. Trade payables 5275. Cash at bank 500. Cash in hand 25. Bank loan done. Salaries and wages 15,500. Insurance 600. Security 750. Electricity 3,100 plus 78. Sales commission 400. Right, sales commission 400. Office rent 3,500. Yeah, 3,500 minus 500 plus 600. Capital 13,000. Right. Okay, Dalamai, we have put all the items now. I have taken all the items in the trial balance. You can calculate the cost of sale 61,800. Twelve thousand 200. Yeah. Distribution expense is 2,300. 26,000 weight here to 40. So your profit for the year will come to a figure of 1,632. 1,632 is the profit. Okay. Interest payable to 40. Here 70 plus 600. So the total here comes to a figure of 28,800. Here the trade receivable balance is much. Okay. Total is 11,250. Amount here 16. So the balance sheet gets tallied at 28,000. Right, right. So the answer would be something like this. So your balance sheet gets tallied at 28,825. Okay. Okay, then my balance sheet gets tallied at 28,825. Okay. Right. Okay, Lama. Right. Okay. Right. So, yeah, okay. Lamai, so what we have done is we did a target paper now. And in this paper, we discussed almost all the areas, 90% of the paper discussed, considering the time being, except the correction of errors. Uh, Along with the correction of errors answer, we'll share the answer. Lamai. I have to do the answers for that. And we'll share the Excel, right? Excel sheet through the WhatsApp group, right? Okay, and please be kind enough to share your feedback to the link given here, and I'll share my number as well. So if you have any concern, any accounting related matter, you can drop me a message through WhatsApp. So I'll be able to help you there. And you nearly got, I think, 2 weeks for the exam, right? So please get ready, give your best effort, and try to get a prize. That is the most important thing. Target the prize. So, and definitely you can go for an A pass. Double AT is a very easy exam, very easy, and you can score a very good result. Okay, right. Okay, Lamai, I think with that we can conclude the session. I hope you got something and you learned something and you have improved yourself as well. Okay, right. Any concerns? Do we have any more seminars? Yes, we do for other subjects. And you can go to JMC B Learning. Yeah, you can watch the previous videos. Please subscribe JMC B Learning YouTube channel, right? And you can watch the previous discussions, right? Which you have done. I think this is the fifth paper I'm doing, right? So there are like 4 other papers. You can go to your YouTube channel and you can watch the previous videos. Okay. Any more questions, concerns, clarifications? Raman? Okay, any more questions, concerns? Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Pata. Thank you. Thank you for your feedbacks. Please feel free to have a feedback on this session here form, huh? Right? Okay, Lamai. Thank you and bless you all. All the best for your upcoming exams. Right? Please uh, follow, subscribe James B Learning in 882 and 883. So you all are going to learn from me, right? So I'm there to help you. 882, 883 as well, right? Okay. See you all then. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye. Good night.